Kind of did it. We're live. All right, guys. Sorry about all that. What a mess. I hope you stuck with us. But if you didn't, totally understand. I wouldn't stick with me for all that crap. Let's see. Can we make this screen just a little bigger? All right. I'll get in as well as I can. Well, I got no notes for tonight. We're done. I lost them. I burned them all. I lost everything. No worries. Stream is buggy right now. Trying to reboot. Yeah, we are. We did. Wow. That's not even a very good picture.
No, it's bad.
This is a brand new computer, too. Wow, fairly new. It's about a year old. All right. Put my phone on silent. Let's talk. Maybe they'll come back and watch us if we're not live. I mean, at the end when we upload it. All right. So I left half my notes up in the room. There we go. All right, guys. Let's talk about the basics. Hey, Scott. How are you? I know what time it is. It's 7:06. We're a little late.
Better late than never.
That's right. Better late than never. Which, were you in Oklahoma? You are a never. You never showed. So don't bug me about what time it is. All right. So the basics of this game. I had some really cool graphics to show you all. Hi, Phil. Glad you could join us. We're going to start at the very, very basic beginning. You have a character card. That character card originally only had 3 stats. And somebody came up with the great idea to add a 4th stat, which you would think would make those 3 stat characters non-playable. But it didn't. They found a way to keep them. I actually found 2 ways to keep them. One is in the point total of your team build, and the other is an activator for your battle site. What's a battle site, you say? Well, you've only bought the first 2 sets. You don't know what a battle site is. We'll get to it. There are 4 stats on every hero card, going from 1 to 8. That is the number of the power card that character can use. If they're an 8, they can use anything from a 1 to an 8 of that power type. So an 8 energy can use only energy up to 8. It does not allow them to use strength or intellect or fighting. 8s. They have to go by the grid. If they're a 2 on the strength grid, they can only use a 1 or a 2 power card and anything related to that, such as basic universe cards. If your basic was a 7 or an 8 to use,
6, 7, 8.
And it give you a little bonus. I have to ask because I've never, ever in my life used a basic universe card. They are a total waste. If you have basic universe cards, you can put them in the same box as double shots and training cards because you ain't going to use them. It's just not going to happen in competitive play. Now, in fun, casual play, yeah, maybe. In competitive play, it's totally different because it's all about card advantage in competitive play. We'll get to that. I'm sorry. I digress. A character can play only his specials unless there is a special or an event that will allow him to play somebody else's specials or an inherent ability. Beyonder has the inherent ability. He can play any special on his team.
Besides 1 per dex.
Besides the 1 per dex. That 1 per dex, by the way, that includes multi-powers or power cards.
No, it does not.
He can't play them.
He can.
Now he can play them?
He always could.
Could.
Josh came up with the idea that he couldn't. But
Josh is always making up rules. Who's this Josh guy? Did he go to Michigan?
Nah, just a bad Oklahoma.
Okay. So he can't play 1 per deck special cards.
Correct.
That includes activators that go get a 1 per deck out of the battle site. But other than that, he can play any special on his team. You can't put specials into the deck for characters that are not on his team and allow him to play them. Don't work that way. And when a character dies, Beyonder can still play those specials, which is the advantage to running a Beyonder. If you lose Beyonder or one of the other characters, you're not going to lose any specials. The biggest rule I think that's different in Overpower than any other game, is that you have to discard duplicates. Most games, I think, will let you keep duplicates, but not in Overpower. You got to discard duplicates or unusable cards that cannot be placed. Wow, sounds like I'm all over the place with all these definitions. Placing cards, every character can have one special, one universe, and one power card placed on them.
And one tactic.
And one tactic. Really?
Yeah.
Does anyone use tactics?
Double shots.
Oh, double shots, right.
Get
They're
them out
in
of your
that
box.
with the basic universe. So you're placing cards to try to gain card advantage. It doesn't always work that way. You may have card advantage, and your opponent may stick around and try and make you play some of those placed cards. But we'll cover that some more when we talk about venturing. Yeah. Artifacts and Beyonder. No, just Beyonder, no artifacts. The character can only play his specials unless, like I said, there's something comes up. There are some events that allow you to play anyone else's specials. There's one event, just one. I think
Assault
just
on
one.
Onslaught.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool card. I like that one. I like it. Phil plays it a lot. I like it when he plays it against me because now everybody can play everybody's cards. It makes for a very interesting hand. It doesn't mean you're going to win that hand just because you were the one that played that event, because you could make your opponent's hand better because you've knocked out a character or two and they get to keep them cards and play them. But most decks try to win by venturing. I try to win by knocking everybody out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It did not in Oklahoma, but it was still fun. Still the most funnest tournament I ever played in. I went 2-5. At least I was there, right? What decks are good and what would you prefer?
The strongest decks currently, as far as meta is concerned, is definitely the energy decks. So the spawns, coupled with the Doctor Strange from reserve, because he's avoiding, up to a 6 from reserve for the entire team. Spawn can avoid up to a 9 for the entire team. They both have an 8 energy. Spawn couples that with a 7 fighting, and then Doctor Strange has a 6 intellect with the 4 stat. And if you want to use the 3 stat Doctor Strange, he makes Spawn legal right off the bat. He's only 17 points.
How many points you get to build a team?
So if you're running all 4 stat characters, your team total would be up to 76 points. And if you run a 3 grid character on that team, it reduces it by 4, so it'd go down to 72.
Unless your name is Vlad, and then they let you use 77-point teams.
77, yeah.
Still can't win with them, right, Vlad? Sorry, pal. You could even go down to 2
You can.
characters with 3 stats.
There's a pretty big penalty. It drops you down to 67 points. So it does make it tougher.
I use a 3-stat Magneto on my Beyonder deck,
He's 11 points for the
Yeah.
3 grid.
and it takes him and the X-Babies. Well, even White Queen, she's only 17 points, so it takes all 3 of them to get Beyonder legal.
With the 3 grid, you can go to 72.
Yeah.
So
Basic universe cards have must be this number in order to use this card, and you get this bonus. The problem with basic universe cards, training cards, and double shots is that it's 2 cards. And if your opponent defends it, they're going to use 1 card. Now you use twice as many cards, and they defended your attack. So they played 1, you played 2. Yeah.
yeah, the other problem with the basic universe and the training is they don't count adventure.
Oh, they
So-
go away at the end of if the attack's successful, they get discarded.
Yeah, so it doesn't
So
really
you
give
may hit them with a 10 to attack, but it only counts as a 7 after you get rid of that +3 from the basic universe card. Yeah. Leave them in the box with the double shots. That's
Yeah.
the best place.
The only value I see to them is if somebody's got you locked out with, for instance, like an acrobatics. It would still allow you to punch through, but it would be very, very.
Yeah, but that's what makes acrobatics so good, is because people don't play basic universe cards.
Correct.
And most people know that. Don't do it. It'll come back to bite you. Every time You can't play that basic universe card because you didn't draw a power card to go with it. You could have used that card for something else. It never fails. Your opponent's venturing for the win. We don't gamble and overpower. Well, we do, but we don't admit it. It's when you're venturing for the win and you draw an unusable card that I told you not to put in the deck anyways, I'm going to remind you that I told you not to put that card in your deck. So save us both a little heartache and don't put it there to begin with. Phil Keffer, he likes to play with max 6 characters. That means their stats are only up to a number 6. You don't like to use 7 and 8s. And he likes to use basic universe cards because he's Phil Keffer and he can do it. But anyone else, don't bother. And no, I don't want to see Beyonder banned like DOW. But if it happened, I wouldn't cry. I would probably then go to Inhumans and Crystal and still keep running a KO event and still keep running an energy deck and still probably use White Queen and the X Babies. So I wouldn't change my deck a whole lot, but I kind of like that idea.
Although Crystal's a 7 energy.
Yeah, she's a 7, but then humans are an 8.
Right. So are you going to run a
Only
in the
1
front?
8? Yeah, oh, yeah, that's a good point. All right, so that deck might not work so well. How about, Blue Area of the Moon? I'd run Blue Area of the Moon, give me Phoenix, Dark Phoenix.
Yep.
With an 8.
Yeah,
And Inhumans and Crystal. Who would my 4th character be? I don't even know who else is on that team.
probably the Kree.
Oh, I like the Kree. Yeah, they're a 7 intellect,
6
a
energy.
6 energy, and make it a little tricky, but it's fun. There's always something.
Lots of big teamwork's coming.
Yes, I agree, Phil Keffer. Scott Flint, we only ban good cards like DOW.
So someone just asked what a good deck currently is. So Phil Keffer is known for being one of the best deck builders around.
No, Phil Keffer's known as the deck.
Or one of the best.
What?
So this is what we call the Cadillac. So you got Scarlet Witch,
Any deck I'm playing, right, Phil?
Starjammers,
You can only say that because
Spawn,
Dazzler's not on the chat tonight.
and Doctor Strange. Although Marcel may be on here now.
Marcel, huh?
He was trying to get in.
Oh, he's banned.
He's
I
banned.
think he got
We
banned.
banned him already.
Yeah, I think YouTube banned him. Hey, Vlad, why not use Training Universe for weaker reserve character? Because that weaker reserve character is in reserve. And why would that character need a Training Universe card?
And why would you put a weak character in reserve?
Well, that's true too. Why would you put a weak character in reserve? All right, there's your answer. Thanks for asking. And thanks for tuning in tonight. I can't believe you guys tuned in after everything we just went through. I appreciate you so much. I'm kind of looking at the chat right now and see if anyone else has any other questions. What about the tournaments? Do they occur a lot? No.
We run 4 main tournaments a year that are BMG
That's only
sanctioned.
one every 3 months. I wonder, are they going to open up challenge to let us run events every other weekend or once a month or something like that?
I mean, you could
That'd be
if
cool.
we can get back to regionalized tournaments. Would be fun.
Regionalized?
I mean, you get 3 or 4 states involved. I mean,
Why can't we just run here at once a month in Columbus?
you can get people at the end to run it.
We can. I mean, there's you and there's me and there's Corey and there's Josiah
And
and there's
AJ,
AJ and Vlad will come in. You know, they'll always come in. There's 6.
Chris and Scott.
Chris and Scott, yeah, they may come up out of Cincinnati and maybe they can bring Miles with them. There's 9 players right there. So I'm sure we can get somebody from Cleveland to come down once in a while. Vlad, don't play the game to try to get to the power pack, okay? It's not a winning strategy, okay? You got to win before you get to the power pack. It helps anyways. I think we should do monthly tournaments. That's the way we pump up our rankings. Just beat each other up.
It might backfire.
Yeah. We play each other in the finals every time. Take turns winning. We probably get somebody to come in. No wonder I never win. Hey, Vlad, I miss you, man. I think you beat me just Saturday, didn't you? especially in time turning. Yes, yes, time turnies suck because people
Stall.
they slow play.
Yeah.
There's a difference between stalling and slow playing. What's the difference? Stalling is when you sit there with one card in your hand and take 5 minutes to decide what to do. Slow playing is when you have 5 cards in your hand and you sit there and try and decide what to do. So I guess it's just math, 5 to 1.
Yeah, it's the only thing I don't like about the venture aspect. But once you get up, you can kind of start doing that. But
Yeah, but there's ways to work around it, especially if you wake up and realize it's happening to you.
and then you have to get aggressive with the betting.
Well, yeah, or don't bet real heavy at the beginning, the first 2 hands. And that's something, venture, that's way down on our list. We're getting to it right now. You want to get into venture? How to venture well?
Did you go through all the cards?
I didn't get through any of the cards. When I stopped at the character card, the power cards, we kind of covered the power cards, and we decided not to use double shots or universe or basic universe. So that got rid of a bunch of cards.
No, we use allies
Allies
and
suck
Teamworks.
too. Don't use allies. Put them in the box right behind the double shots because you don't want to use ally cards. I saw them a lot in Oklahoma.
I can see a cause for one of them.
Well, I saw them a lot in Oklahoma, way more than I thought. I also saw a lot of times where my opponent couldn't play his ally card because he didn't have a special, because the only special he drew that hand was the character that had died the hand before.
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, if you're running a defensive deck, the allies are definitely harder to get into the mix.
Yeah.
If you're running an offensive deck, I think they pair well with, say, like a JW from Heroes for Hire,
There are
followed by the 5.
better ways to get a chain. Yeah, either out of your battle site, a next, better way than a card that may not be playable. It may sit there for a hand before you can even play it.
I can see it.
And then you're down a card. Phil Keffer taught me a long time ago, it's all about card advantage. Who has the most cards? And whoever has the most cards almost always wins the hand. Almost always. There are times when you got to bail because I'm throwing a 5-card attack chain on you and you're about to lose somebody. If you know you can't stop the chain, you're going to jump.
Ally cards are nice with
Larger decks to avoid duplicates.
If
Yeah, if you want to put in unplayable cards to avoid duplicates, it's pretty much the same thing. Don't do it. Your deck will be more competitive without it. With DOW gone, our battle site's far superior now. If not, what deck would utilize any heroes? Okay, let's talk. Doug stalls. I stalled tonight because, I couldn't get this stupid program to work. And then I locked myself out of the store. I had to go get the keys. I still got security's keys right here. I got to take them back. So, yeah, I stalled. Battle sites were always far superior.
So it goes back to the duplication. Any heroes aren't going to dupe near as much.
You see my Liquid Death, our sponsor, Liquid Death. Okay.
They're not going to dupe near as much because they're all 1 per decks. The problem with the any heroes is you can typically only place, you can only place 1 of them to your team overpower. There are a few that you can place to the character itself, like a Fortress of Solitude, or you could place a Bastion if your opponent's playing another any hero deck. But yeah, I think the problem is it's not as versatile. So if you pick up a Leech and you have something placed there, you're burning through one of your best cards in your deck and may not even get to play it. And so with a battle site, they were much more versatile for defense as well. And so even if you have a Leech, it's very, very difficult to get through with any heroes and no Devour in place. But I think you can still run some any hero decks. Your main deck is going to have to be very defensive. So similar to something like the Cadillac that I just presented on the screen, you're going to have lots of avoids and some negates in order to get those any heroes to be very strong. With Starjammers, you already have some strong specials to begin with. So if you can get a Raza, which makes the opponent discard all their cards if it hits, if you can get your draw 3, if you can get a draw 4, which is one of the new cataclysms, it can still be very potent. Followed up with the event set from Shattered Image, which has the no activators. So there's a good shot that you could bet 4 or 5 missions against your opponent if they have 3 or 4 discards when that event comes up. So there is still some decks I think that can play any heroes.
Maybe Four Freedoms Plaza. Do they play any heroes?
I would say no, just because they have no negate on 4 freedoms.
Oh,
Going to make it very tough to.
I know Derek played Four Freedoms Plaza against me once in Boston. He bet 5. Beat me.
Yeah,
He had no energy power cards we used to attack, I think. It might have been the no specials. I don't know. Both of them destroy my deck.
right.
But-
Yeah, so you can get events that decimate your opponent. So things like that, obviously, doesn't really matter if you're running a site or any heroes at that point. It's just the event is what comes into play, which is what I kind of wanted to talk about before I get into placing is kind of the top 4 or 5 mission sets that are out there. So right now, currently, a lot of people are running the energy meta. So Fatal Attractions is a very good event set to counter that because they have no energy icons can be used to attack. And so, they have to place them or use them for defense. So their deck isn't going to be hitting you with heavy or power cards typically. They can't use any of their activators to attack you with. So very, very strong, especially if you're running a teamwork deck. You can get over their power card defense. It also has no specials. So again, that kind of couples with if you're running a strong teamwork deck, you're going to run a limited amount of specials in your deck. And you can typically bet heavy. Another event set that's very powerful, or used to be when any heroes were more prevalent, is Maximum Carnage. They had the event no 1 per decks can be played this battle. So if you're running a very strong
The Lambo. It's not the Cadillac, it's the Lambo, Phil Keffer says.
or the Lambo,
Yeah,
whatever your
Sorry.
preference is. But it's very
Sometimes-
strong because
the Ferrari.
most people with the Lambo was running the any heroes at the time because of Devour in the event. And you have the strong 1 per decks through Starjammers. And so if you can, you're running 13, 14, 1 per decks, and that event comes up and you got 5 or 6, in your hand or 2 or 3 that are placed, you're like Doug said, you're getting that card advantage over your opponent, and it's all their key cards. So they're not drawing 3 on you. They're not leeching you. They're not playing Devour at that point when it was still legal. So very, very powerful.
Phil Keffer says people don't know what the best decks are right now. And I think that's because he hasn't made them yet. He'll let us know when he does.
I
Right,
know.
Phil?
Iron
Let
Man.
us know.
Iron Man's pretty strong with Spawn and Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
That's a great deck, but I think the way to beat it is not attack Iron Man. Let you draw once in a while with that Iron Man, avoid crap. Just lots of new options.
There are a lot of new options.
No, that Nightwing deck still is
No.
not useful.
Put them in the incinerator.
Yeah, put those DC heroes right behind the double shots, which are right in front of the basic universe cards.
You can leave Ray in there.
Leave the Ray. I mean, Eric Counts did okay with him.
And
He's got some
you got
great
to
cards.
You got to the semifinals.
Yeah. Did
Against
he play
Marcel?
a Beyonder?
No, he played Starjammers, Ghost Rider in the Ray. I think with Doctor Strange, I think, or Flash maybe. But
Oh, he should have put Beyonder on there with the Ray.
maybe
Is
it's
the Ray 17 points?
he's 18.
18?
He's harder to get on.
Just a little.
Yeah, you'd have to run Babies and Magneto or something similar to that. But
I mean,
he's only got 2 cards though. He's got
Huh?
to draw 3 in the 9.
he's got a void, a
He's got
miracle
a-
void that
yeah.
Beyonder
good
will
for
be able to
Beyonder.
use.
Yeah.
Because you ain't going to attack the X babies.
No.
Unless I think it was it Ricky that I attacked his ex babies and knocked him out in like the second hand, and then I went after his battle site and until I cheated. I mean, until I misplayed and had to give him the game. Was that Justin? I think it was Ricky. I
It was
can't
Ricky.
remember now. It was a bad day. I don't want to talk about it.
He said it was fun.
Yeah, that was I. Yes, I thought that was you. Yeah, it was fun. He laughed all the way to the win.
So some of the other strong event sets would be Shattered Image.
I know, yeah, Rick, I know that's you. I appreciate it.
Again, as I
Shattered
mentioned
Image.
earlier, if you're running any heroes, you got 2 or 3 strong events. You got the no activators can be played for the battle. So your opponent can only place 1 if they're playing Team Overpower, and then they have to discard the rest out of their hand. So it typically gives you 2 or 3 cards right off the bat, card advantage wise. It also has the event where you can play all the power cards are usable by anybody. So you can make your Starjammers innate energy for a hand. Has no cards the word draw. So if you're not playing a draw deck, it can lock down a lot of good cards that your opponent may have. So there's 3 or 4 good events in Shattered Image. One other one that Doug likes to run a lot with his Beyonder deck would be the Crossing.
Yeah.
There's the KO event. There's also the no energy power cards, which he wouldn't play in his, but it is a strong event if you're running something, else with a KO opportunity. It has no cards with the word teammate, which is very strong. And then you can also throw some mini mission events in there, like the Hideout Discovered, which makes your opponent discard all their teamworks and not play any teamworks for that
That's
battle.
what makes both of you, not just your opponent.
Yeah.
It bites me in the butt quite a bit. But
It has. Yeah.
I still play it. It helps more than it hurts.
It's something I like to run a lot if I'm playing characters that can play cards from reserve, like a Flash and Doctor Strange deck would be something like the Sins of the Future, which allows you to do a flip-flop combination. So you move your front line to the reserve, where your frontline characters can still play specials while they're in reserve, like a Doctor Strange or Flash, because of the inherent on the card or on their actual character card. So Flash can play Reap the Whirlwind from reserve, make it an opportunity to draw 4 Ys up front. So something similar to that would be the 4 or 5 missions I think are pretty strong currently.
Vlad's asking about Spawn, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, pretty much the best 3. Phil, you ran that with Iron Man as the 4th in OKC, correct?
Yeah, that 4th character is, dependent on what you like. Obviously, Starjammers are super strong. They pair up well with Spawn, obviously. They sort of line up with Scarlet Witches and Elect and Doctor Strange. So it gives you a little more versatility on KO pressure as well. And it's hard to get it. It's hard to say who the best 19-pointer would be. I think Invisible Woman's super potent in that spot as well. +2 to venture every hand, and you get another 9 or less avoid for the team.
Now, some people used to play her with, was it Blue Beetle?
And try to get a venture.
And get +4 to venture every hand.
Yeah.
There's 2 from each of those characters.
Yeah, the problem is you're both max 6s.
Yeah, both max 6. Right, but you still got to go after one of them.
You do.
You can't get 4 points of venture every hand.
Yeah. I mean, but Blue Beetle, pretty easy to knock out, I think.
So you got a 6.
And he's a 6 fighting. He doesn't really line up with her all that well. I think he's a 5 intellect.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it messes your power grid up.
Right. And when you're a max 6 to begin with and you don't have a negate on your team, you're already in.
Every character
lot
on
of
your
trouble.
team should be able to play every power card in your deck.
Or the majority of them.
No, everyone. Well, obviously, your 7s can't play your 8s, but you don't want to get down to that character needing that power card to defend something, and they can't because they're only a 4 strength, and you got a 5 multiple. I guess that wouldn't work. Never mind that.
4 strength and you're running 5 strengths or something for like a Dark
Right.
Beast or a
Yeah.
Inhumans.
That you just don't want any cards to ever become unplayable. Inhumans for the win. I love the Inhumans. I mean, they got some great specials. They're just so many points. That was my max 6 in Columbus last year. Commissioner Gordon
Mm-hmm. Ricky,
and
Blue Beetle, and Invisible Woman.
only
played
played
well.
with 3 heroes.
I don't know if his 4th hero was.
Oh, I mean,
Maybe
he's
Spider
handicapping everybody.
Spider Woman or
I bet,
somebody.
I bet he had Flash in the reserve.
Flash or
doing
Spider
Reap the
Woman.
Whirlwind. That'd be pretty cool.
Or Spider Woman.
The problem with max 6 is there's just not variety when guys build those decks. There's only a handful of max 6 characters that are so good that you got to play them.
Yeah,
I bet he had Mojo. I bet he had Mojo as his 4th player.
in reserve.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it would be
Could you-
Spider Woman or Sable or
Yeah. It's got to be
Flash,
somebody playing
probably.
something from reserve.
Yeah.
Marvel Universe home base.
Right. So you're 7 right off the rip. Which makes it tough. I think he bet. He beat me. He was one of the ones that beat me in
A
that
lot of
max
people
6.
beat. Oh, no.
I won the tournament.
By the way, I want to do a lot of stuff for the OP Cup on Friday. So do you guys want to come in Thursday night? Silver Sable, we said, are in the reserve.
Yeah, makes sense.
Nice. Come in Thursday night, start early on Friday. I want to start at least by noon, and we'll have a schedule out soon. Probably not going to put a schedule out until after Peace Bridge. Yeah, Vlad, appreciate you, brother. Can't wait to see you. We'll hang out. But we'll see. We should be able to play maybe 3 tournaments on Friday.
We would like to get some new players here and give tutorials if we could. I mean,
If
that
we
would be
need to, we'll show you how to play, or show you how we play. Doesn't mean you have to play like we do. Because I mean, I went 2-5, so don't play like me. Whoa, Dazzler Marcel just showed up. What are you playing in Niagara, Phil?
It's a mystery at the moment. I don't know.
We haven't designed it yet, Marcel. We'll let you know.
Although I did just show a nice Lambo deck.
Says I should play universe cards. Phil, you going to handicap yourself?
I think,
We
yeah, I think
appreciate
that's
that.
kind of the consensus if I want to play in the Masters event, which initially I wanted to do that, but I don't know if there's going to be enough skin in the game. Doesn't make a lot of sense if a ton of people can't be at both tournaments.
What? Who's going to be in Niagara that's not coming to Columbus? It's not that
Well,
far.
the opposite way around.
Huh?
I don't think there'd be enough people in Niagara from the States.
Oh,
So,
man.
So we'll see.
I can't believe I'm back into playing this game again. Can't believe you did this to me. And it's Howard. It's you and Howard.
Blame BMG.
Yeah, I'll blame Howard. BMG has been fun to work with. Those guys are great. I hope they pull it off.
We're
Rooting for 'em.
still trying to find who the Shadow King is. Trying to get a free flight to Canada. But he went MIA on us after the donuts and Red Bull.
Yeah. He's probably Canadian anyways.
Probably.
You know, so got to be a master to play in the Masters field. That's what Marcel just said.
Well, that should make it fairly easy. I'll probably be the only one that enters in it then.
That'll make your competition tough when you get to Columbus, huh? Handicap. All right, what else you got on your list of things today? Oh, venture.
Yeah, I think first we got to get to how to strategically place your
Place
cards.
cards. All right, let's place cards.
So
All right, when you sit down to play Marcel or Phil, first hand, be prepared to place 6 of your 8 cards. That's if you got to keep all 8, because they're going to, and you have to match them. Phil places a lot, and he gets card advantage on me a lot because I sometimes have 4 cards in my hand for the Beyonder, and I can't place them all. And I have donuts and Red Bull. Ricky, I'm down. Let's go. Can we have Bang instead of Red Bull?
we have betting here at Heroes and Games.
Yeah, we'll hook you up with Bang. Or Prime Energy. Have you tried the Prime Energy drinks? They're pretty good too. There's not as much in them, smaller cans.
More like a Gatorade, I feel like.
Gatorade. No, that's Prime.
Yeah, the Prime.
But there's Prime Energy.
Okay.
There's 2 different products.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good. All right, I lost my train of. I can't. What was I thinking about? Donuts.
So we have to place a lot of cards.
Place a
if
lot
you're
of cards.
Playing Marcel, Keffer, myself.
Yep, you have to.
We'll sacrifice the first hand if need be. Marcel, not as much as I'm willing to do, but
Marcel likes to make you think he's going to run,
and he
and
sticks
you bet
around.
2, and then he bets 2, and then he wins the hand. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah, Marcel doesn't mind. He likes to send the troops to the paramedics, as he says. Kill them all. Send them to the paramedics.
Yeah.
So
you can place up to 3 cards on a character. I'm not counting aspects because nobody runs that many aspects anyways, right?
right.
A universe card, power card, and a special.
Yeah, very few tactics in decks typically, but
Right, not that many. Sometimes you have to place cards because they're not usable.
I think that's why the Lambo is so powerful. It gave you the extra placing power card for the Starjammers. And so, right off the rip, the Lambo can place 4 power cards if need be. You get your 8 energy on Doctor Strange, you get your 7 fighting on Starjammers. You get a 5 intellect on Scarlet Witch and a 3 or 4 on the Jammers. And, the next hand you're ready to roll. Get some teamworks coming in. You get your 9 or less avoids placed. So typically your defense and the higher power cards with a teamwork. is what most people place, I would say.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
quick
Oh,
as you
there's
can.
defense everywhere at the end of the first hand, at the end of placing at the second hand. You're Marcel, Phil, you, Derek and Tyler both do it really well too.
Mhm.
And you look over there and it's like they got 19 cards placed and everyone's defending everything. So they're tough.
And that's when it comes down to how do you venture from that point. And, I think the first thing you do, obviously, is you count the cards. Is it 14 to 14? Is it 8 to 8? But then you got to dig a little deeper after that. You got to start looking at what do I have that I can either attack with or defend with, and what does your opponent have placed. And I think a lot of people overbet in this game. Keffer not being one of them. But I would say Chris Vizina and Josh Alexander, very aggressive bettors. They don't mind betting 3 or 4. And sometimes, giving your opponent those extra cards can come up and bite you.
Yeah, if you bet more than 2, your opponent gets to draw 1 card for every venture over 2, not bet, sorry. Not venture. If you venture 3, they get to draw a card. If you venture 4, they get to draw 2 cards. Venture 5, they get to draw 3 cards.
Right. So you only want to do that when you have a very strong event in place, typically, unless you just have massive card advantage.
AJ's here. Thanks for coming back, AJ.
So one of two things: if you have a strong event, or if you have massive card advantage, your opponent discarded 2 or 3 cards for some odd reason, and you already had them outplaced, then that's when you want to get pretty aggressive if you can.
It just seems to be most decks are built to win venture.
I think that's the way you go.
Yeah, you think? Like knocking your opponent's team out?
I don't mind, but I mean, sometimes in the Swiss, you got to be able to win venture because you don't get the time to knock all the heroes out,
Yeah.
especially if you're playing a very defensive deck. But that's why the JW is so strong. I mean, there was one game in OKC that I lost Iron Man the very first hand.
Wow.
I got hit with a JW and a power card, and I forgot players had the 5. That was the JZ. And bye-bye went Iron Man.
Oh, wow.
But luckily, I rallied back and knocked out his Dr. Doom, which was his only 8 character. So allowed me to get back into the mix and eventually pull it out.
All right. Well, placing is probably what you need to learn even more than venturing. Although either one of them can bite you. If you don't venture well, you should have went 2 or you should have went 3 and you go 1, you can regret it.
Or if you should have went 1, you bet 2. Now you're trying to grind those missions out of the defeated mission pile.
Yeah.
So it makes it tough. But I think even more than that is like, when do you let your characters die? It's a very important aspect that I think a lot of people forget. They're not really counting their cards for their characters as they're coming up and being played. And, you don't realize that you still have 2 spawn 9 or less avoids and you let them die. You let them go too early.
Yeah.
So just something to think about when you're sticking in hands or when you should run.
Yeah.
I don't ever leave unless I know I have even card count on the board. So even if I have to lose a hero at some point,
Oh, is that what you do?
that's typically my
I
strategy.
never noticed that. All right, I'll pay more attention. Yeah, I've seen you bail lots of times sooner than I thought you would, just because you got me to play 1 or 2 place cards and you played fewer than me.
Right.
And you got the card advantage
Going into the next
either back to your side or evened it up when you were down. And that's one thing, when you've got card advantage, you want to play out of your hand and not give up that card advantage if you can. It's not always possible, but
What did Marcel say? The game is often won in the first or last 2 hands of the game.
the first, it's always won in the last 2 hands of the game.
At least the last hand. But
A lot,
a lot of times it is the very first hand, though. I mean,
yeah.
you can either have a lot of momentum or
But placing allows you to overcome a bad first hand. That's the one thing in this game that allows you to overcome that. If you have a bad hand, it's not necessarily going to kill you, but it does make it harder. But you can come back. But you need your opponent to have a bad second or third hand. That helps.
You don't make a mistake.
Yeah,
Which the better players, obviously, they're the better players because they don't make many mistakes.
they
But
don't.
it's fun. I mean, I can see this level of competition. It's shrunk so much recently. Used to
You
be
mean the difference between the best player and the worst player?
correct.
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
it seems like most of the players are at least competitive compared to 6, 7, 8 years ago. You'd sometimes go in and you could beat them in 2 or 3 hands.
Right. Yeah, the players are a lot better now, although that might change a little when we bring in a few new players until we get them trained a little bit.
Yeah, there's a learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
Just so many cards.
Right.
No.
And knowing what's in your opponent's deck is
Crucial.
helpful. And if you don't even have a clue what could possibly be there because you're new to the game, it makes it harder. And they hit you with something, you say, what?
Right.
And that happens to me still because of Masters of Evil.
So I'd say a very good training tool would be to hop on overpower.ca, and you can go to the tools section, click on the characters, and go through character by character and kind of learn the cards. Obviously, there are probably 15 or 20 very good characters that you're going to want to get familiarized with quickly, like a Spawn, Doctor Strange, Starjammers, Heroes for Hire, Mr. Fantastic, those type of heroes. Obviously, all the negators.
Ricky, how often are you playing against DC heroes? Come on, son. Don't know their cards. Good thing most aren't good. You got that right. I mean, you just have to know the Ray, the Flash. Neuron. I like Neuron. I just never get an intellect deck going.
Brainiac's pretty powerful.
Brainiac, he's good.
Problem with DC is they didn't come out with a negate, and it really hindered them. And they made their characters watered down. I mean, who makes Superman and Batman 7s?
Right. Yeah.
So
But there are some, when I play against Eric Counts, he always seems to play one. Eric comes up with some creative teams.
seems to play a DC hero. Yeah, he likes to flash a lot. He tries to make you pitch cards for sure, which is a very good strategy. I mean, that's why Scarlet Witch is obviously so powerful. She gives you the negate and she's picking off your best card or your negate. And it's just so brutal.
Is Flash opponent?
Mhm.
So, and then Velocity has the same card, just the 3 of them. Does everyone else say target opponent?
No, there's a few. Mandarin has an opponent. Ghost Rider has an opponent.
Oh, okay. Nobody ever plays Mandarin.
Yeah, he did get a few new cards in the movie, so he's right there. But he's one of those characters that's possibly the 4th character on an energy deck, and you can typically find someone a little stronger. He got to avoid a teamwork, but you have to get it put in play first, which can be good because you can stack them. They stay
Stars
in
and
play.
Garters
It's
type
like a
thing?
Stars and Garters for
But
Mandarin for teamworks only,
Huh.
which not terrible, but
Guys like to play teamworks. And teamworks are powerful because they got that first attack as a 6. Somebody asked the other day, well, last week, whenever, how to play teamworks. Sometimes you want to make both follow-up attacks. When you're putting the heat on somebody, putting pressure on them, you got to defend all 3 of these.
if they're all kill shots.
Yeah, make them defend as much as you can. But a lot of times guys make the teamwork. Then every once in a while, you get that guy who hits you with a 11.
Yeah.
8+3. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's very difficult to defend.
Right. So it does happen. Josh used Penguin.
He did use him once in a lockout deck.
Oh, really?
With the Reavers and
Did he go 2-5 in that
No,
tournament?
actually, he played very well.
Oh,
I think he lost 1 game in the Swiss, and then he did lose, I think, to Ed or somebody in the single elimination. But
okay.
his deck did play very well. He was
Once you
playing
get into single limb, anything can happen.
right.
It's no disgrace losing in single limb because the top 8 players are there for a reason. Vlad, it's the lighting.
Not good.
Look, we look young. It's the lighting, but thanks, Vlad.
And we have some nice lights at
Yeah.
my sunset. Up.
Yeah, well, we're working on it. It's a progress. We'll get this YouTube thing down. We'll get this streaming thing down soon.
Yeah, we actually had images all set up. We were going to go through.
I thought I knew how to use OBS. I thought I had taught myself enough to get through one, and I did. So I guess I'll be paying someone to come in and teach me. So if you know anyone,
Just like Overpower, that's how you got good at that too.
Actually, I just went over and beat up on Darren, which Darren's not in the chat right now, but Josiah didn't show up again.
No, he's out of town.
Does a top tier player like yourselves think about trying new things in tournaments, or does winning and ratings make you play the same shenanigans? Real question.
I always pride myself on playing something different, or I had. I know I've been running Iron Man a little heavy lately, but there for a while, I made a different deck for every single tournament. It initially started with Beyonder, White Queen, Magneto, and I started going to Spawn and Inhumans and Babies, that type of stuff. Heroes for Hire. My first tournament I won in Columbus was a Heroes for Hire, Reaver, Spider Girl, 3-grid Hawkeye deck.
Jesus, don't answer. Don't worry, AJ. We're not going to talk about your deck.
But no, I try to play something different if you can. Problem is you got to be competitive, or you want to be competitive. That's why you show up,
Right.
obviously.
You got to come with your best deck. I always play the same deck, Marcel. You know that. But that's just because it's the only deck I know. And I don't have time to sit around and play like I used to and play 3 nights a week, 5-6 games to learn a new one. Doesn't mean I won't. I have so much fun playing that deck. And whether it wins or loses, I have fun with it. And it wins more than it loses overall. So I like it. It's a fun deck to play. It doesn't mean I don't have fun playing other decks. Phil and I swapped decks a while back. I played some of his, and it was fun. But it's just, I think it comes down to time. How much time do you have to put in to learn a deck? And the more you play a deck, the better it plays.
And when you build it, who do you have to play against that's competitive is another thing.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some tooling that goes along with it.
What's the most fun and important thing you like? The Beyonder idea or the White Queen idea? You know, the thing that makes the deck fun for me is playing Power Mimic out of the battle site. And Saturday, Vlad, Phil, and AJ and I sat around and played a few games. And twice I was playing against Age of Apocalypse, and they played the Power Mimic out of the battle site. And it was fun. It was fun seeing what are they going to Power Mimic. That's what I really enjoy. I think the Beyonder makes it more competitive because if you lose somebody, you don't lose specials.
Well, it also gives you the 8-grid.
And you got the 8-grid for the JW, which
turns into like a proxy Heroes for Hire.
Those defensive teams, you need a JW, or it's nice to have. I don't know that you need it, but it is nice to have. But the funnest part of my deck is Age of Apocalypse Battle Site. I love playing the Morph.
He doesn't mind the KO event either.
I don't mind the KO event. That is fun. Watching you guys sit over there and try and figure out which character you're going to KO, the one that has 2 hits on him or the character that you already played all the specials. And I've already KO'd the X-Babies and moved Magneto up. So that is fun. You're right. But I love the Morph 2, mimic 2 additional attacks, and I can get a nice chain going.
Yeah, very powerful out of that JW deck,
Yeah.
especially when you have the White Queen and the Magneto.
Right.
Make additionals as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're throwing 4, 5, 6 attacks sometimes.
Right.
It's a lot to deal with.
Right. And if they defend them all,
Yeah,
then they
they're
got
out of
nothing
cards.
to attack you with.
Right.
Or if they do, they're afraid you're going to attack them
Again.
the next turn, and they don't have enough.
Yeah, it's not just that. Also, out of that Age of Apocalypse, the Beast has a 4, make an additional. X-Man has a 4, make an additional. And then the Morph 2. So it's just chain after chain after chain.
Right.
So,
They're nice lead-ins. And I think BMG's made some kind of ruling where an activator doesn't have to start a chain attack, right?
no, the Activator does. The Any-Hero does not anymore.
Oh, is that the way it goes?
Mhm.
Maybe I misread that.
Yeah.
All right. So playing A next, you can't follow it up with an activator.
Correct.
You still can't do that.
But with ANEX, you could follow up your Death from Above.
A next could follow up Death from Above.
The Death from Above could follow up the ANEX.
Death from Above. Follow. Huh. Okay.
So just any players playing the any hero, essentially, is what happens after the ANEX.
Yeah, AJ, I know. Four Freedoms, JW doesn't hurt it. And that's why I play for the KO event against you. And then I sit there and wait for you to draw your KO event. Hey, hey, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
So Nicola?
Back to venturing. How do you play against heavy bets? Very defensively. It's just trying to defend everything they throw at you.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Like, why did they bet heavy, obviously? And, are you going to draw the cards, that they give you? Is it going to be enough to keep you in it? I think the thing is, like I said, you got to make sure that you have an equal number or an advantage once you concede. So I think that's sometimes you got to realize, you may have to let a character go and just keep taking their hits.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Then you lose a character and you lose the missions.
All right. And hopefully gain the card advantage at the end for the next hand.
I think that's one thing a lot of people fail to do
I
at
did.
the end of the game is they don't keep their teamworks placed. They rifle through them too fast. And those teamworks at the very end of the game are so powerful.
Yeah.
They've used all their defense either out of their sight or from their heroes. And, now they can't block the 8s and 9s and 10s that's coming.
But I run 2 events that make those teamworks not playable, so I don't like to leave mine sitting there either. I like to use mine.
If you're running anti-teamwork, different story.
Yeah. I saw somebody had a question earlier and I missed it. That's Phil always has something up his sleeve.
How many sleeves, AJ?
Phil, you look like a retired golfer. I don't know, AJ, whatever. All right, I don't remember now. I guess we did get it. What shocked you most about the new tournament meta in Oklahoma?
I don't think anything. I was a little shocked that it went so geared back to the JW and the draw decks. I mean, obviously the draw decks are always going to be powerful, but I didn't expect to see 3 to 4 Heroes for Hire deck, 2 White Queen decks. So I was just...
Were you surprised no
shocking.
Dracula?
No, because I knew Tyler wasn't coming.
You thought he'd be the only one?
I thought he'd be the only one. I thought maybe Marcel possibly would, but I didn't think he would.
I didn't think he would either, because Marcel's always going to show up with the deck that Marcel created. Oh, no, wait a minute. Once he showed up with my deck in Cincinnati, didn't he?
Long time ago. Him and Keffer.
Yeah.
What was up with that, guys?
Yeah. That's the only time they've never come up with something original, though, I think. They were copycats for one tournament. That's okay. No, Dracula shocked Ricky.
Dracula is much worse against battle sites. Elaborate, Phil.
Phil thinks Dracula is worse against. Is that because battle site?
Has a lot. You have 3 or 4 more opportunities for negates for one
Yeah.
with your activators. And Tyler runs so many of those to the last man that it's typically dupes on him, or he gets it off and you can see the one hand. But I think Tyler's deck's more potent when he gets the lockouts in place. Obviously, that's when his deck's very powerful.
He's always run lockouts.
Mm-hmm. And the lockouts are phenomenal with that deck.
Yeah.
He runs 2 lockouts on the main deck, and then he runs 2 out of the sight plus the KO tuck cheese with Citadel.
Phil says it's because you don't need to rely on teammate avoids to protect your heroes.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, I don't have any of those in my deck, teammate avoids.
Although I think they're always going to be powerful, those teammate avoids, regardless if Dracula's in the mix or not.
What happens when your opponent keeps an unplayable card to do? That's the question we missed. Scott asked, what if somebody does something in the middle of the hand?
So I guess it depends who you're playing. Some people let it go. Some do not. The technical ruling would be your opponent automatically wins the venture, and they win 1 additional adventure. So
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah. So if they bet 2 missions, now they're winning 3 missions. So I guess it kind of depends, Do you feel it was blatant, or was it just one of those, sorry, I caught it,
Well,
Very tough in a tournament, especially because obviously you want to win, but you want to do the right thing too.
I always kind of play, if it's somebody who's known to do it a lot, I start
Penalize
getting
them.
suspicious, then I might call them on it. Otherwise, I normally let it go. I don't think it's ever cost me a game or won me a game.
I think the thing that makes it tough is you don't know how many you would have ventured had you known that card was.
What happens with the cards already played at that time when you find it? Do you reset anything?
No, you don't reset anything, but the venture ends immediately. And then, like I said, you can
1+1 or
choose to take the
Venture
one extra,
plus
yeah,
one.
the venture plus the one extra mission. And I think the one extra mission is probably because you possibly would have bet one more, knowing that they didn't have another card in their hand.
oh yeah,
Could
Okay.
have been,
it could have. Yeah,
especially if it's something critical like in the gate or something. But if it's a new power card that's a different color, it's sometimes hard to see.
Uh,
But I think that's why you take your time before you venture. Obviously, you need to rifle through your cards.
I agree, Phil. Got to call them on it because of the lack of correct venture info. Yeah, because it definitely makes a difference in how many cards or how much you're going to venture, how many missions.
So it's one of those tough things. I mean, you all want to be friends, obviously, but you are playing in a competitive tournament at that point. So
Yeah, there's so few players right now. I don't know. There's so few players right now. We even want to keep the cheaters playing. No.
no, I don't think I haven't seen a whole lot of intentional cheating from.
Yeah, well, if the gates are the best cards in the game, how come a dual negate deck hasn't dominated? Who said the negate's the best card in the game? I never
You
said
definitely
that.
need one.
Wow.
You definitely need one.
JW
I mean, I-
is dominating. I don't think it's the best card in the game.
The JW,
Yeah,
you don't.
no, it's fun, but I don't think it's the best one.
I mean, it's the best for the anti-defense, obviously,
Well,
especially with a Beyonder. Or
I mean, playing a JW against
with
Heroes for Hire, how often does that 8 power card go through against them?
every
Not
time.
very often, huh?
Every time, if you wanted to, if they have a max 7 on their team.
No, I'm saying if I'm playing a White Queen against a Heroes for Hire and I throw my JW, Beyonder throws an 8, follow up on it against Heroes for Hire.
No,
Heroes for Hire usually has an 8 to defend it.
right. Unless they've already played their JW. Yeah, something like that. But
Power Mimic is the best card in the game. I agree, Scott. We finally agreed on something. I knew eventually you would learn.
now I got to ban Scott for just sucking up.
He is learning. He's getting educated.
It is a versatile card. I don't know. I mean, it's only playable out of AOA. Morph's not a playable character at this point.
Really?
No.
You don't think so? How many points is he?
I mean, if you use the 3 grid for a Beyonder type deck, maybe.
He's a 6
He's,
strength,
he's,
right?
10, he's 10 points with a 6 fighting.
6 fighting.
Yeah. And his
10
IQ,
points?
then his IQ character is, he's a 6/3/1, I believe.
I wonder if we ran a tournament where everyone had to play one max 6 character.
I don't think it would be Morph. It's going to be Invisible Woman or Ghost Rider.
Or Mojo?
Or Mojo, maybe.
Yeah.
Or 3-stat Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the Power Mimic is fun out of the battle site, but I have 3 activators,
I
so I have 3 chances.
was going to say, I personally do feel like the Negate is the best card in the game.
The best?
Yeah. I mean, it locks down a draw 3, a draw 4, a Raza. It can remove cards after the fact, even if it couldn't block them to begin with. So you can get rid of the JW after the fact. I mean, it can remove an 11 if you want to take it and do some sort of cheese where you KO your hero and then remove it. That way you can lock your only hero down at the end. So you let your hero die on purpose and then you lock your other character out. They think they're winning the venture and then all of a sudden you remove it.
Take X-Man out of the Citadel and put Morph in.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that idea,
Yeah.
Scott. I wonder if anyone from BMG is listening right now, or if you play it on the replay. I would love for Morph to replace X-Man.
Yeah, X-Men's.
Second
Feels-
negate, not nearly as good as the first one in your hand.
think it can be at the right time. Ask Josh Alexander what happened, and
I like having
The
dual
OP
negates.
Cup here?
Yeah.
he tried to flamethrower me with a 12. I negated it. He thought he pulled my only negate because I was running any heroes. And then he tries to play his Kingpin draw 3, and I negated both attacks
Yeah.
and killed his beast in the process.
Oh, wow.
So,
AJ did some of that to me on Saturday. He threw Human Torches 11. I negated it. Then he threw another crappy Human Torch card from MOE or something.
no, it's from Marvels.
Marvels.
It's a good card.
Right, the Marvels card.
Strategic burn.
Yeah, and he didn't think I'd be able to negate it, but I did because I had dual negates. But I don't think you had to have dual negate. I don't know.
I think you save your negate from your site if you can because it's more versatile. You don't
Mhm.
have to
Sure.
obviously use it for the negate.
I like having dual negates, but I don't like running dual negate characters. I don't know how you can get 2 of them on there.
Yeah, it's easy. X Babies makes
Doug,
anything
when
win.
can you make it down to play test? Sheesh. Did you go down?
I went down on Thursday.
Did you teach them how?
We didn't get many games in, obviously.
What the heck?
And Scott had to leave at like 3 or 4 o'clock to get his daughter from school. It was our last day of school.
Oh, okay.
Him and I went 1-1, and I think I went 2-1 or 3-1 against Chris.
Scott, I don't know if I'll be down at all this summer. Things going on at the house and all. But yeah, Phil and I'll talk about it, see what's going on.
Got to get you guys a better ride up here, actually.
Yeah, that'd be good. Let's see. Power main. Take X-Man out, second negate. Scott. Phil says, if I could have a negate and a draw 3 or 2 negates. Or do you have a negate and a draw 3, and I have a negate, your draw 3 don't go off? Got a buddy interested in learning how to play. Are you guys for sure holding a tutorial for new players on that Friday before OP? Oh, absolutely. Yep. We are going to.
I think the other issue with having a dual negate on your team is none of the negators have an 8 grid. So you're very limited with that
Yeah.
third frontline hero.
With a JW, you have to play an 8. Right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's something I tried in the first OKC because I knew that
you had-
Dracula had a lot of powerful cards that I wanted to negate and still have a negate left. And I was running it with the KO. I ran it with Reavers, Donald Pierce, Heroes for Hire, and the X Babies. And it played pretty well. I made one mistake in the tournament, and it cost me the game.
Come on, Chris. I thought Chris quit drinking. He just got smashed from the drinks. Phil got smashed in the game. Keffer says, I just mean that you have to give up powerful cards from the players you aren't playing for the second negate.
Correct.
Yes.
And like I said, it limits your.
I agree 100%.
It limits your.
Your pool
Your
of
power grid.
characters has been dwindled to very little.
Yep.
Yep.
And your grid suffers.
The game is just real strategic the way it is. With one negate, it does make you think a little bit more. But
I don't think you need it now. I mean, especially if any heroes don't make a big comeback or resurgent, because you got the 3 or 4 activators typically for your negate hero
Well,
lined up in your site as well.
yeah,
And so it gives you a lot of opportunities for negates.
right. It was a lot of fun. Oh, Scott, I'm glad you had fun beating up on Chris. I'm drunk Chris and Phil. Well, it'll be interesting. We're coming up on Peace Bridge. We got 2 more weeks.
Yeah, the big Niagara Falls event.
I'll be interested to see what comes out of that.
You interested to see what Marcel plays? Is he going to play the Masters? Or is it going to just be me?
Is Phil Keffer, are you going to be there?
He's at a wedding, I think he said.
Oh,
or-
no, that was for the OP Cup.
I was at the OP.
Yeah, he's not coming to Columbus.
Yeah, he won't play anymore, I don't think.
Oh, sorry, Phil.
Yeah.
Do you want to come and hang out? Play some casual games. You can always instruct us on the ways. What's Marcel call him? The
The
genius?
genius.
The genius. Yeah. Teach us how to build our decks better. $1,000 a game. Yeah.
I'm in.
That's a pretty stiff fee.
Yeah, I'm in.
You're in?
I'll play.
Oh, you going to play for 1,000?
I'll play with him.
Woo, Phil. No, that's not good for your health, Phil. Either one of you. Phil Keffer loses, he goes home not feeling so good.
Yeah,
You lose,
I
you
would-
go home and Laura beats you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that to Phil.
Yeah. Phil Miller is not afraid of a call out. Just ask Josh. Josh
I
isn't
hope
here.
you're listening, Josh.
Yeah, he'll probably play it later. So, and by the way, Josh, if you want to come in on Thursday night, you can get some practice in Friday morning.
Yeah,
We
we're
can
running,
start early. I'm going to take the whole day off.
Yeah, we're running tutorials, Josh.
Yeah.
You do a lot of good.
I'm going to take the whole day off so I can start playing as soon as the first player walks through the door.
What
All
happened to Josh? Oh, Josh decided to. The OK Shootout has a very unique opening round where you can choose to call out your opponent to challenge them to a game.
Yeah, choose who you want to play, and if they agree, then you sit down and play.
And so Josh said, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And he thought at that current moment I was the best. He challenged me. I accepted, and
Phil's,
the rest is history.
yeah, hey, it was fun. I think if I go out next year, I think I'll call out someone too.
I call it Marcel.
Marcel, I almost called him out this year, but both Phil's wives just entered the chat. They want to know about this $1,000 thing. Marcel, did you? Oh, yes, we could charge admission to watch it. Let's set it up.
Yeah,
Let's set it up.
pay half the ante.
Yeah, be a lot of fun.
That is something I would like to do. I know Keffer had been mentioning this for the past 4 or 5 years. Is you can make as many decks as you want to make, and you play essentially a master's deck for big money. He wanted 10,000 per entry, which probably a little too much for most people.
You think?
But that would be a lot of fun, and you have to beat that opponent. I think 7 times are the best of 7, and so
You had to beat him 4
you
times.
have to win four rounds.
Holy cow!
And the decks can be interchangeable. So if I sit down first and reveal my deck, if I'm playing Phil, he could, counter with whatever deck he wanted. And then the next hand he would have to put down his deck.
The next game he would show first.
Reveals. And so it does make for some interesting tactics. I think it would be a lot of,
I'm out.
I think it would be a lot of back and forth. It would be fun though. That's probably just a tad too much for most people.
Maybe 500?
500 would be fun.
500.
And especially if you could get, 8 to 10 players. I don't know if Keffer's in for that small of an amount. But
Yeah.
if we could do it. That's something we should do is build up an ante with that money
Man,
and
we
use
don't gamble and overpower. That's why we venture instead of bet.
it.
Come on.
But putting money on the table is a lot of fun. It does make the games unique. Tyler, Chris, and myself did that after the team event that we played in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much?
It was just like, I think, $20 Canadian for most games.
$20 Canadian. That's
Which
like
is
30 cents.
45 cents or something.
What
But
the
no,
heck?
it was probably like $15. I think the first
Man.
game Tyler and I played for 30.
Jeez.
So, but tougher for those guys. Their money's not worth as much, unfortunately, for them. Makes it tougher for them.
Yeah, I'm sorry Howard didn't make it in tonight to the chat. All right,
Oh,
how
wow.
about 10 extra in every entry goes into a pot until someone wins an event undefeated.
That would be fun too.
Undefeated in Swiss and then undefeated in single LM, obviously.
Which
Wow.
I've been undefeated in Swiss, I think, 3 times in the last couple of years, but haven't run the tournament.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough.
I've been
I
able
mean-
to pull it out. So kudos to Phil and Marcel. They've done it, I know. At
They
least.
both went?
Yeah. Marcel did it here at the OP Cup 2014.
Oh, 2014. Man, that's like 10 years
He
ago.
beat Keffer in the final.
What?
hmm And then Phil did it at the OP Cup in 2017 or 16.
Here?
16.
They
Yeah, that's
both did
when
it here in Columbus?
that's when we moved it back to my house at the very end for the single LM. Him and Garion played a hour and 45-minute match.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is classic. If you ever get to watch it, it
I think
is on the
Garen's gonna
YouTube
make it.
channel.
Garen's going to make it in August.
I hope he remembers how to play.
Wow. Wow. You think he'll be there?
Yeah, he
Nice.
probably will be there.
Yeah.
And he is a very good player. So I'm looking forward to seeing Gary and playing against him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him again. It's been a long time. Well, the last time he was there in Columbus, last time I saw him.
And he is a good player. And he does come up with some different decks.
And Phil says he went undefeated in his first Peace Bridge.
Correct. And I think that deck's still undefeated, Phil. I'd like to see you bring it
What deck
out.
was that? Do you remember?
Yeah.
What did he play?
Played Spawn, Starjammers, Dark Beast, and 3-grid Doctor Strange.
Dark Beast. And did he play Onslaught Citadel too?
No, he was playing any heroes.
Oh, in here. Okay.
Devour.
Because you can't play Dark Beast with Onslaught Citadel and mix your specials, which is dumb ruling. I think they just shouldn't be allowed to play them. But, you know, somebody always has to try and push the envelope.
That's why he's the GOAT.
Wow. All right. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight.
Any more
Sorry about
questions?
all the screw ups. Like I said, I'm going to literally pay someone to teach me how to do this so we don't have to go through this again. So hopefully next Monday we can do a live stream without any issues. We get some better. I got a good camera. We're ready to roll.
Yeah, and we're looking for ideas on how to get more subscribers
Yeah.
from people that are trying to learn the game. That's the whole reason for these.
Yeah, we need to get 50 subscribers, and then we can do remote. We can do it off our phone if we have to. Ellen will teach you, Doc. Yeah, she'll teach me how to grade Pokemon cards. That's what she'll do. She was doing that last time. I can't wait to see her. I hope she comes up with you, Scott. I know. I'll make sure Jessica's here and they can hang out together a little bit then, too.
Yeah, and she looked like she had a blast here last year.
Yeah, she did. I bet she slept for a week after that, didn't she? She-
Scotty did.
Yes,
When
well,
he
Scott
found
does
out
all the time.
Only
anyways.
into the semifinals.
Yeah. Thanks, Vlad. Glad you got to tune in. Sorry about all the
Delays.
delays and trying to get this thing started. We'll get it fixed and it'll be fun. We're going to try and do some recorded events too, not just everything. We got Geo to play tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, all right.
I think he's 8 or 9, 10 years old, maybe. Jacob's age, I think.
Okay, nice.
So that's one thing
Hey,
I need
Phil,
to.
enjoy your Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, same to you guys,
Oh, wait a
honestly.
minute. This is the end of the day.
Yeah, this
The
is it.
weekend's over. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Have a good night, and we'll see you all next week.